Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and good morning to all those who have joined us for the press conference of the minority of the Tobago House of Assembly. Welcome, welcome to members of the media. So, in keeping with standing orders of the Tobago House of Assembly, Section 34, which provides that on the fourth Thursday of every third month in each quarter, private members' business shall take precedence over assembly business unless and to the extent that the leader of assembly business moves and that the assembly agrees that any urgent executive council matters should be disposed of before private members' business. And in light of Section 34, in this regard, private members' motion is scheduled for this Thursday, 24th of October. And the motion that will be piloted by the minority leader is of great importance to the people of Tobago. And it addresses the critical issue of advancing Tobago's autonomy. The matter to be discussed directly relates to the ongoing quest for greater autonomy and self-governance through the proposed constitutional amendment Tobago Self-Government Bill and the Tobago Island Government Bill. And the minority leader will come and address our private members' motion in greater detail. But before I introduce the minority leader, who will delve into the details of this motion, permit me to take this opportunity to extend our deepest condolences to the families of the loved ones of Makeda Fraser, Aaliyah Williams, and Patrice Judy Webb, who tragically lost their lives in a motor vehicle accident in Black Rock on Saturday. Our thoughts and our prayers are extended to the families and loved ones of the deceased, and we also take the opportunity to wish a speedy and full recovery to the persons who are hospitalized from this unfortunate incident. Additionally, as we are in the month of October, it is also vital to bring attention to breast cancer, and this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And this period serves as a reminder of the importance of early detection, support for persons battling the disease, and the continuous efforts needed to find a cure. So let us keep all those affected by breast cancer in our hearts and extend our support to them in every possible way. The PNM and Tobago has also lost a stalwart of the movement in the person of Miss Cynthia Alfred. She served as a former senator, former deputy chief secretary, as well as secretary for health and community development. She went on to meet her maker last week, and we offer our condolences to the family. It is a great loss to the People's National Movement as well as the people of Tobago. Mere days or a week before her passing, we celebrated her birthday at a meeting, and she was contributing as she would normally do at our meetings. So again, we offer our deepest condolences to the family of Miss Alfred, and her contributions to the People's National Movement, to Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago, is far-reaching and wide-ranging. I also want to take this opportunity to wish the Hindu community Shubh Diwali, warmest Diwali greetings to the Hindu community. May the festival of light bring joy, prosperity, and triumph of light over darkness to all homes. We hope that the spirit of Diwali inspires unity, hope, and a brighter future for all. And now I want to turn our attention to the matter of hand, and as I introduce the minority leader who will delve greater into our private members' motion this coming Thursday.
Thank you, Minority Councillor Petal Daniel Benwan. Let me say a pleasant good afternoon to each and every one. Thank you to the members of the media for your presence so that we can share with the population of Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago, matters important to the island. And before I get into my main discourse, I also want to join with the Minority Council and the rest of Tobago in extending our deepest condolences to the families of the 3 young ladies who lost their lives tragically in that accident on Saturday, and also to use this platform and this opportunity to remind our persons who are participating in the carnival over the next week or so to be extremely careful on the nation's highways and byways. And in everything that we do, we know it's a festive season, but at the same time, we ask that each and every one would be responsible in our very conduct. I also want to join and extend condolences to the family of Cynthia Alfred, former Deputy Chief Secretary, PNM matriarch as well, and also to the families of former government minister, Mr. Nylon Hippolyte as well. So we recognize this is a season where, you know, there's a lot of persons who are dear to us who are going to the great beyond, and we therefore, you know, extend our condolences in that regard. Tobagonians, fellow Trinidad and Tobagonians, this afternoon, I want to use this opportunity for us to discuss a matter that is near and dear to every Tobagonian. And whether you support the PNM or you don't support the PNM, the issue of Tobago's autonomy is something that really engages the consciousness of every Tobagonian. The fact of the matter is, the current Tobago House of Assembly Act 40 of 1996 in its current construct is inadequate to facilitate the dreams and aspirations of Tobago and Tobago's development. And therefore, we are quite familiar with the process led by former Chief Secretary Mr. Orville London that led us to a Tobago constitutional bill that was approved in the Tobago House of Assembly. And that bill that was approved in the Tobago House of Assembly was transmitted to the Cabinet. The Cabinet at that time, led by Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, accepted that bill without any amendments, and that bill was laid in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, and that was then transmitted to what you call a Joint Select Committee of Parliament. And a Joint Select Committee of Parliament includes members from both the government, members from the opposition, members from the Senate who are independent senators. And quite interestingly, with respect to this Joint Select Committee, one of the independent senators who was part of this Joint Select Committee was in fact a cherished Tobagonian daughter in the person of Mrs. Dillon Remy, or Mrs. Remy Dillon. And you know, I just want to take us back and walk us through what is this bill that we are talking about that seeks to give Tobago increased autonomy. So the Constitutional Amendment Tobago Self-Government Bill was laid on Friday, 9 March 2018. And this bill aims to amend the Constitution and to repeal the Tobago House of Assembly Act, Chapter 2503. The passage of this bill requires a 3/4 of the members of the House and 2/3 of the members of the Senate. So what this says is that this bill cannot be passed by the PNM alone. This bill in the Lower House requires both consensus and agreement and support by members of the government and members of the opposition. And in terms of the Senate, it requires a 2/3 majority, so it requires support from members of the government, members of the opposition, and members from the independent benches. And what this bill seeks to to do and to give to Tobago is finally settle some core principles when it comes to autonomy. And one of the key principles would be equality of status. This bill would grant Tobago equality of status. It would also grant Tobago lawmaking powers. It would also grant Tobago, through the ability to make laws, it's the ability of self-determination. It would create greater participatory governance by including for the first time, the independent senators would be included as part of the Tobago legislature, and those independent senators will be chosen by the president. It will create equality of opportunity and greater fiscal independence. This bill that is currently in front of the Parliament is the culmination of over 4 years of work. Consultations at 20 venues, over 100 hours of consultation time, 120 written submissions, and the involvement and participation of over 6,000 persons. So, in Tobago, currently we have the discussion where this current administration, you would hear them consistently saying that the way how the current THA is constituted, it makes it difficult for them to perform. And therefore, every constraint that is identified by this administration, whether it's insufficient resources, whether it's their inability to make laws that would treat with the things they want to do here for Tobago's development, whether it's something as simple as having a deputy clerk in the House of Assembly, all the ability to borrow without restraint, all these major issues are issues that this Tobago Amendment Constitutional Bill and the Tobago Island Government Bill solves. So, the Prime Minister has indicated that very soon, on the conclusion of the budget debate, and that is currently taking place in the Senate, and once the budget is approved in the lower house, he, as the leader of the government, Prime Minister, will be taking this Tobago Autonomy Bill, which is currently in the committee stage, to a vote. And therefore, as a responsible minority, we understanding that this would require both the support of members of the government, members of the opposition, and members of the Senate, is also calling on members of the Tobago House of Assembly for us to all stand in unity in support of these bills. And by standing in unity, let us also take leadership in ensuring we bring all players to the table, and so by bringing them to the table, we can have the discussions that would ensure that these bills are agreed upon, approved, and Tobago can have the autonomy that it has long been seeking after. So, on Thursday, I am taking a motion to the House which reads, whereas the Tobago House of Assembly is constitutionally mandated to govern and manage the affairs of Tobago in accordance with Act 40 of 1996, and whereas Act 40 of 1996 provided enhanced authority to the Tobago House of Assembly, its provisions have not yet yielded the full level of autonomy sought by Tobagonians. And whereas for over 3 decades, successive efforts to achieve consensus both within and outside Parliament have failed to secure the passage of bills that would grant Tobago the desired autonomy. And whereas the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago has announced that the Constitution Amendment Tobago Self-Government Bill and the Tobago Island Government Bill will soon be debated and put to a vote in Parliament, And whereas these bills represent a historic step forward, proposing substantive improvements to Tobago's autonomy and authority, including the establishment of the Tobago legislature and the entrenchment of core provisions for Tobago's self-governance, be it resolved that this House acknowledges that the provisions of these bills will have a far-reaching and positive impact on the powers of the Tobago House of Assembly and the quality of life for all Tobagonians. Be it further resolved that this House unequivocally supports the swift and unhindered passage of these bills into law, recognizing that any further delay would perpetuate the long-standing disenfranchisement of the people of Tobago. And be it further resolved that this House endorses all necessary actions to ensure the passage of these bills, including an urgent bipartisan meeting between members of the Tobago House of Assembly and the Parliament to facilitate their smooth and timely enactment without further delay. So, members of the media, fellow Tobagonians, as a responsible minority, we have taken the leadership to ensure that Tobago finally achieves its autonomy dream. Because what you would recognize, as much as this administration speaks about autonomy, and as much as this administration will complain about not having the resources, after 3 years in this, as leaders of this Tobago House of Assembly, they have failed to bring one serious motion that treats with this issue of autonomy. So after 3 years, notwithstanding the complaints, notwithstanding the quarreling, this current administration has not yet had the House address this issue of autonomy. And therefore, it takes the leadership of the minority for us to come to the House and have a serious discussion on this matter. And this discussion, we are asking our colleagues to take off their political hats and simply put Tobago first. And in this instance, we are asking our colleagues for us to move outside and move away from the partisan politics, the politics of division, the politics of conflict, and let us come to a position where we can have consultation, where we can have collaboration, where we can have agreement and unity in purpose as to ensure that we set the tone in Tobago, that we are united in support. And being united in support, we then call the members of the Parliament, because this bill requires every parliamentarian. It requires a three-quarter majority support, and therefore it requires every parliamentarian to be in support of this bill if Tobago is to achieve autonomy. The point about it, the PNM as a government and as a party has signaled its support for this bill, so we know there's guaranteed 22 votes. What is required at this time is for Farley and his UNC friends to join with the PNM so that we can give support to these bills that guarantees Tobago a guaranteed entrenched budgetary allocation of 6.8%. 6.8% is over $4 billion on average every year, which would be more than adequate to treat with the day-to-day running of Tobago. This bill guarantees Tobago the ability to make laws for the good governance of the island. No longer would we have to sit down and wait and send bylaws to the cabinet and then hope that these laws get to the Parliament for debate. These laws would be made right here in Tobago, assented directly by the President. no longer would the cabinet become a conduit for Tobago to govern itself. This bill takes away cabinet domination. No longer are we restricted or confined to Section 75 of the Constitution, which gives the cabinet overall responsibility for Trinidad and Tobago. The cabinet will only be able to intervene in matters affecting Tobago only as it pertains to an emergency. And therefore, these bills give Tobago far-reaching, and once and for all, it is a serious step, an advanced step. It is a game changer for Tobago, and we will be calling on our colleagues on Thursday for us to join together in support of these bills, and more than simply supporting the bills, to take decisive actions towards ensuring that every parliamentarian understands that we in Tobago believe these bills are good bills. The Chief Secretary is on record as saying the bills are good bills, and therefore if there's any area that requires tweaking, then we all can sit around the table and have those discussions, have those agreements, and finally have these bills approved so that Tobago's development can once and for all get the kind of support that is required for us to make this place the greatest little island on the planet. So without any further ado, this is a matter at hand we wished to discuss with Tobagonians. I invite every Tobagonian to get themselves familiar with this report of the Joint Select Committee appointed to consider and report on the Constitution Amendment Tobago Self-Government Bill 2020. This is an extensive document that gives you a clause-by-clause analysis of all the considerations, what was considered, why they came up with whatever was the final consensus, and it really educates Tobago about what this autonomy bill is all about. So we would have it posted on our Minority Council page, that is on our Facebook Minority Council page. You can also find a copy on the parliamentary website, and I encourage all of Tobago to familiarize yourself with this document. There's one final document that we will be sharing, and this document is a comparison, a detailed comparison of what currently is constituted in the Tobago House of Assembly Act 40 of 1996, and the fundamental differences and changes and benefits that you will get once these Tobago bills are approved. And I just want to go quickly into what exists and how that will be fundamentally changed. So when it comes to allocation, the minimum allocation right now averages at the lowest end between 4.03% and 6.8%. Tobago currently receives about 4.35% of the national budget, which is about $2.3 billion. If these bills are approved, Tobago will get, for the first time, guaranteed 6.8% of the national allocation, or $4 billion. And the beauty of this is that it would be entrenched in the Constitution. So nobody can arbitrarily decide to just take that away from Tobago. So that would become part of the Constitution, and therefore it is a guaranteed allocation, as opposed to this threshold that we currently receive that is based on somebody's feelings. At this current, as we are currently constructed, the THA has no direct lawmaking powers. This bill, for the first time, will include the President of the Republic, and which would allow the THA to make laws right in the legislature and have those laws assented to by the President. These bills, this current THA is not entrenched in the Constitution. This current Tobago Constitution Amendment Bill will be entrenched in the Constitution. So again, it cannot be arbitrarily removed. This current THA does not have a mechanism for fiscal review for a fiscal review commission, and this fiscal review commission is where you have a body that would look for additional expenditure for the THA. All we have is the provisions of the DRC. There is something called a fiscal review commission with the authority to recommend additional funding for Tobago. So in addition to the 6.8%, there is a mechanism that would allow for additional funding for any major development. This current THA, there's little to no control over the public service, so everything is controlled directly from the Teaching Service Commission and the Public Service Commission. What would happen in this current bill? There will be an establishment of a Tobago division of both the Public Service Commission and the Teaching Service Commission, and that Tobago division will treat specifically with matters affecting public servants in Tobago, have those matters addressed, and therefore allowing Tobagonians to have a bite, 2 bites at the cherry, because you can benefit from being part of the national public service, but at the same time, you uniquely have your issues addressed right here in Tobago. This current Act, THA Act, provides the THA with limited responsibility, and in terms of the schedules, this Act empowers the THA with expansive responsibility, including the responsibility for legal affairs and finance. So for the first time, there will be created a division of legal affairs to treat with all legal matters, including registry of births, deaths, etc., right here in Tobago. So the benefits and the provisions in these bills are quite expansive, they are quite extensive, and they are quite far-reaching. And this is why we will be calling on our colleagues for us to support the bills, and in supporting the bills, for them to get their UNC friends to also support it in Trinidad. At this point in time, I am open for any questions regarding this motion that would be tabled on Thursday, or any other matter of public importance in the Tobago space at this time. That's okay. So I want to thank you, the members of the media, for your time, and I want to thank you, the population of Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago, for your time as well. Thank you. Appreciate it.